Someone I admire in the scriptures for standing is Esther. Obviously, she's a big example to me of someone who was put in an uncomfortable situation and had to stand up for what's right. She had to defend her people, and she stood up for what she believed, even though it was hard. And that's what we face in the Cedar Hills West Stake, that it's going to be hard no matter, we're going to be put in tough situations like that.
Such a prime example of standing is Joseph Smith. He had to endure so many trials in his life while he knew out of everybody else he knew how true the gospel was. He had the biggest reason to stand, and people tried so hard to tear him down. It was just incredible faith that he had to stand and to face against every single obstacle that crossed his path. It was incredible to me.
Captain Moroni, his country was like caught in war, but he had the courage to go out and do something about it, and he raised the title of liberty, and we all know about that, and I think that's a great example of standing.
I know it's kind of like the primary answer to say Nephi, but I think he's a perfect example of being able to stand out and doing things that other people don't want to do. Like even when his little brother Sam, like he was almost a little tentative sometimes, but when Nephi did it, Sam would follow. And Laman and wow, I forgot their names, but when his other brothers wouldn't follow, Laman and Lemuel, then it didn't bother him. If they stayed seated, then he would stand and he would go. And that's the perfect example for our topic.
Helaman and the Stripling Wars, and how all of them banded together and they're all righteous. And the part that I struck out about them is that they were raised by their parents, especially their mothers, because most of their fathers died, standing for what's right.
One thing that comes to mind is my sister. She's also on the soccer team, and so her team is actually really good. And one time, some of the parents on her team were saying, like, to get better, we need to start playing in tournaments that were on Sundays. And obviously she was really sad about it because she knew what she stood for. And she's actually in a tournament this weekend, and she's not playing today, and her team is, so she's supporting them, but I'm so proud of her.
Chad Lewis, the former Eagles football player. He's in my ward, and he's just he helps me stand because he's like has such a strong testimony.
I immediately just think of like Nephi and just kind of like everything that he's done, and in the way that everything, he'd always kind of like try to help his like brothers especially. He wouldn't like, I guess maybe call them out, but he would always try to like help them and just like be that example, but yet trying to teach. And so I think that's a way to like stand, just kind of being a reminder, like, hey, like you got like an angel appear to you or whatever, but just being like that person to remind someone kind of like their values. And
I look up to my dad because he tries so hard, and who he is, he's just a representative of Christ in and of his job and outside, and what he tries to do on and off the court in basketball and that sort of thing. I mean, he tries to keep a sense of humor and calmness and gentleness, meekness, that sort of thing, as Christ would do. I look up to him because he's my dad, and I respect him and love him very much.